Well, hello and welcome everybody to Blue Garden Cottage. Lovely to have you along, to see you again. The weather is fantastic, and as you can see, I'm back in the studio shed at the bottom of the top of the garden. We're at the top of the slope, and I have been extremely busy. I did actually have a video for last week. Every time I tried to upload it, or rather upload it to my editing program, it wouldn't upload the sound with it. It was dead, so it was a pointless video to have without sound because I was talking to you. So that one ended up being scrapped because I did not have a chance to make another one. So this is for this week then. As a catch up on last week, because it's been crazy busy. This morning I filled in, I was going through my gardening diary and the homestead diary, and realised actually just how much we have achieved through May. We've done quite a lot, and there are the birds in the hanging baskets that are just starting to fill out nicely. Don't pull the plants apart, but the sun is shining. Anyway, I'm in the shed because I need to get painting today. I'm just getting started for today, so I've got my colour references and shadow references. I've got the item. Missing a few things because I have sorted out and moved things, and I've sorted out, this was an old school desk we found. I can't remember where we found it. And my husband renovated it for me and polished it up and sanded it up, and we were using it for all my seed storage, and I clean forgot about it. It was under the desk here. So when I found it in the week when I was sorting out in the shed, getting ready to start painting again, I had to take it inside and sort them all out, and I had loads, absolutely loads of seeds that I'd forgotten about. Let's hope they're still viable. Otherwise, they're just going to be scattered in the garden and the birds will eat them. They always do. I do that with any seeds that aren't viable. I sow a few. If they don't grow, that's it. The rest of the pack I just chuck out in the garden and the birds eat them. So, yeah, they won't be wasted. But anyway, so that's what this box was, and I decided to put all the seeds in a separate box in the potting shed, and this I will use to organise the paints and brushes and all sorts of my sandpaper. So that's all organised now, and I can get started with painting. Loads of stuff still here. I've got 5 boxes of stuff that could keep me painting till next year, because we're not going to be doing any fairs this year, I don't think. But we'll just keep building up. You never know. Things might pick up again. The chaos won't last forever. It'll pick up eventually, and until then we'll just take the opportunity to just keep building stock, so it'll be less pressure on us when it's time to start doing fairs. I think we're just going to mostly focus on orders anyway, if we get any for now. What else? So the studio I sorted out. I got loads of seeds sown. All of the hanging baskets hanging baskets were put in the front. I've tidied up in the front garden, planted out a few more plants. Oh, this weekend gone, we had terrible winds, and if that was the tail end of whatever storm it was, I forget the name, they all have the names and we get so many, if that was the tail end, I would hate to think what the people were going through who had it full force. So yeah, it blew off the environment off my leeks and onions, where I've sown the carrot seeds in between. That was blown off completely, and then I discovered, was it this morning or yesterday? Yeah, this morning. Or was it Saturday? One of the two. I discovered, because it had blown off and leek moth had got in to a lot of the leaves and totally wrecked it. Some of them were so badly damaged. So I picked off all the affected leaves and I folded the onions over way too early, but let's hope that they mature enough to be able to do that. And by the end of the week, maybe next week, I shall, because we've got 2 dry hot weeks this week and next, excuse me, it's dry in here. And then I shall hang them to dry. They'll only be small onions. Let's hope they mature enough during this week so that next week I can dry them. And in that place I am instead going to remulch it and put in, I'll section it up for a block of parsnips and a block of carrots, because I'm just going to take them all out and restart a new lot of seeds for leeks. And I've got spring onions that will be ready to go out, so I'll put them in somewhere. I have no idea where. We are so running out of space. There's nowhere to put anything. I discovered climbing peas that I had from last year in there. They've all sprouted. I've got Manche 2 and I've got Champion of England climbing peas. So the Manche 2 I think I'll put in the front garden in window boxes along the handrails with canes to make an arch over the ramp. And in the back where the butternut was going to go, I'll put the Champion of England climbing pod peas. The butternut I am going to dot around the garden, and the zucchinis have since come up. The butternut are only tiny, so who knows if we're going to get any fruit out of that this year, because it's a bit late really. They should have been that big at least by now. And the courgettes. But well, I'll put them out wherever I can and see what we get. And that is about it. Moved the bird feeders, put some more out the front. What else? There was more I did, I can't remember. I had it all listed down this morning when I was filling in the garden diary, mentioning the weather and what was happening with that. Oh, and I had to get used to this new paint box, because everything's moved. I used to know exactly where every tube of paint was. And of course, the shop I used to get my paints from have changed to a different make. So I have to get used to the different colours, because they're not the same. Don't care what anybody says, they're not the same. So I have to get used to it now again. Like the titanium white in one make is not the same as the titanium white in another. Some of it's quite opaque and it's not nice. I like a nice solid white, because that's easier to use than something that's almost transparent. So now I need to mix greys, blues, sand. I need to come up with the sand colour, some grey, some darker greys, lighter greys, and some more reddy sand and yellow sand. And so I'm going to get on and mix those, get that ready. While the sun is shining, we've only had 2 days during I think Friday and Saturday really. We had a few hours of rain, not enough to fill a water butt from that full. It only got kind of that full, not very full at all. So we didn't have enough rain. It watered the ground, but not enough. And then before that, it was another 2 weeks before we had the same 2 days of rain. And now we've got 2 days of hot, dry weather. We had the hot, dry, we had the dry, but cold, windy weather at the weekend. Now we're getting into hot weather, the slight breeze, and it's dry. Temperatures up to 27, 28 degrees. And when it's about 25 degrees out there on our front garden, it's 28. So it's usually about between 2 and 6 degrees hotter in our front garden than anywhere else, which is weird. But so we are going to have to do a lot more drought proofing in the garden, because the last month has proven that our garden is not drought proof yet. Even though I do thick mulching and I water at the roots instead of spraying over the top of the soil and the plants. I water directly at the roots. I am going to have to get some more oyas in. I have a few, but I'll have to do some make do oyas with cold drink bottles or something, because yeah, the wind just blew all the potatoes over. Canes needed tying in and things were scorched. I tried to protect the beans. I've been using a garlic spray, just water and garlic, that I've been spraying on the hostas in the front garden to protect them from the slugs, and it's been working perfectly. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll put it by the beans when I put them in the ground. Big mistake. They didn't react very well to the garlic spray. It singed and dried them out. They looked all silver. They did not like the garlic spray at all. So I have another batch of beans that can replace them, although I was keeping them for a friend, but that's all I've got left. I'll try again. And the beans are important because I grow them for the actual pulp, the beans, the legumes for the winter, for stews and things, not actually the fresh pods. Although we'll pick a few of the tiny little ones for fresh greens, but the majority of them are kept for beans for the following year's growing, for seed, and also and I usually get at least a couple of jars of beans from what we could produce. You know, I get a couple of jars of beans from them, but that's it. But it helps to supplement the food storage for winter. The peas, them I think I will have to keep some for seed for next year, and they will be frozen. Sorry, I just spotted the birds going down to the bird bath. We lost almost all of the beetroot seedlings. They were that nice, just ready. I'd put them in the ground. Within 24 hours, the house sparrows completely reduced them just to little stalks. Ruined. And it took a month to get them to that stage to put them in. We put some more seeds in. We've sowed some more seeds last week, and they're already that big. But they're still only at the primo leaves, the primary leaves. So when we get the secondary leaves, no, I'm not putting them out till they get much bigger secondary leaves. I did put some pieces of hose pipe around to look like a snake and some dangling boughs. It deterred them for a couple of days, and then they got used to it and came back again. So, and I can't cover it because the bed is edged by the canes for the peas and butternut. So I can't cover it with a net. So we're not having like the beans, nor the onions, nor the beetroot. So we've got to start them all over again. But we will. Well, I'm not going to give up. I think the early years, this is now our 3rd year of getting this garden to where we want it to be. And it usually takes us from start, when we've moved to a new property before, it takes us up to 5 years to get everything where it needs to be. And this is the 3rd year. So I think we'll just give ourselves a chance, you know. Not going to give up. We'll keep looking at it, assessing it, and then we'll tackle the problems as they come. But I will not use pesticides. I will not use horrible deterrents. Oh, the frog's been in the garden yesterday. I was watering by the apple trees, and the frog was out, and as soon as I started watering there, she hopped back into the pond for shelter. So I know that the frog is there, and hopefully a male will come along, because all the spawn died because they weren't fertilized. So we need a male to make his way here. Let's hope she starts singing nicely for him. So let's hope by next year there's a male that comes along, and we could actually get more frogs and then much less slugs. I don't have to worry about them. The house sparrows, well, I'm just going to have to cover things with environment. I had another piece of environment, but it was so big. It was huge, and it was just way too big for any of the beds. And it was expensive. But I'll find a way to use it. I will make a way. And we've decided we're going to build at least 2 to 3 foot high raised beds for all the annual beds, just to make it more physically manageable for us, so we're not having to bend down. So we need chunky beams rather than planks for that, because it needs to be sturdy. So over the next 2 years we're going to be doing that, thinking about future-proofing the garden for us as well. That's about as much as been on my mind. There's a load of other stuff going on. I haven't touched the book this month. It was finished. All I had to do was do some photograph annotations and then get it off to editing. But I haven't done that yet because it's been full on busy this month. But there you go. We keep going. I've been doing a lot in the house, doing more fermenting, doing loads of baking as far as bread goes. And using more of my food storage, so it does take a bit more time. So there's a little bit less time of the day when I'm using my food storage and I'm using dried food stuff, because they need a little bit more preparation and cooking time. So yeah, that's just one of the things we've got to get used to. And if I get used to doing things right and form a plan better and prioritize jobs, that, because I like to do jobs where I can do one thing that leads to another, or two things at the same time that lead to another job naturally, so that it's a flow and things get done. So if I can just do that now, learning to use my food storage better, then I might save some time. But that's about the update I have for today. I will do another video again later in the week, I think, to do with what's happening in the garden. It's a bit of a jungle out there now, and it won't be long till the first earlies of the potatoes are ready to come up. So I might actually put the butternut in the pots against there where the first earlies are, by the potting shed, and then it doesn't matter really where the peas go, does that? In the bed. So there you go, people. Still lots going on, lots to do. Painting going on today of walking sticks. That's going to be painted today. Probably won't be finished today because it'll take me at least about 4 or 5 hours, and I've still got loads of stuff to do in the house as well. But it feels good to be doing stuff and busy. So for now, I'm going to leave you with that because I've been chatting for a little bit. It's going to take forever to upload. Enjoy whatever weather is thrown at you. Some of you in the southern hemisphere will be in winter right now, end of autumn into winter. We are into our summer now, where summer melds with spring melds with summer. So whatever season you're in, whatever the weather throws at you, do enjoy it, make the most of it, do things that are seasonally appropriate as far as your home or garden, if you've got one, or your crafts, or whatever it is you're doing. There's always something seasonally appropriate to do. So enjoy it. I shall catch up with you again later in the week, show you what I've been doing in the garden, and hopefully what I've been doing in the house as well at some point. I am busy making some bunting as well. I've got some fabric to cut out to make some bunting to put under the cover there. I was going to put some out in the front garden, but I'm not ready for that yet. I've painted the front fence again, so that's brighter and fresher. But there's a lot still to be done before the garden is where we want it. A lot still to be done. Sorry, I'm not always looking at you when I'm talking to you, but I'm looking in the garden because I'm looking out the window. You know, I can't wait till we've got some double glazed windows to go in here, which will have to go in by the end of July, before the weather changes. I'm going to get some electric in here as well, so that I can shut the door and work even when it's raining or windy. So yeah, the windows have to be done. So that'll be good when that's done. I can see a bit more because I won't have this bar in the middle of the window, and it'll be double glazed, so that'll be more pleasant to work in. Oh yes, I better get working, because if I just keep staring out the window, I'm not going to get anything done. And I've got to figure out what I'm doing with this paint. So I'll show you what I've done maybe next week. Yeah, I'll catch up with you with the painting again next week, so you can see when it's finished. And the garden, I'll catch up with you this week, and maybe next week or the week after to do within the house. Because we're well into June now. It was my birthday last week, and I had so many lovely birthday wishes and cards and phone calls, and it was really lovely. Even though lockdown, you know, we never really go out or have gatherings or anything like that, but it was just a memorable. I think this year is going to be memorable for everybody, for you know, for better or worse. Is that a goldfinch? No, just a strangely decorated patterned house sparrow. Sorry, distracted again. Anyway, I better go. 20-minute video already. Have fun. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, any of those if you haven't already done it, if you feel like you want to do it, and keep up with us, what we're doing, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye bye everybody.